Good afternoon, my friends. It is a pleasure for me. It's an honor for me to be here today. You must allow me a second to adjust because the excitement that we are experiencing here in this side is tremendous because what you have achieved today was the closing of a book and an opening of a brand new book. The next step, the next volume in the series, the next step in understanding was presented to you today. And it matters not if you understand the whole part of what was explained today, because that will come in time. But the fact is that you have taken the next step in evolution, the next step closer to the spiritual truths that could not be explained when I walked the earth plane because people were not ready to hear that yet. They were not ready to understand that. They were not quite ready yet. When I walked the earth plane, I used to talk about having to spoon feed people in order to give them step by step so they could start to absorb things and be able to go a little bit further and a little bit further, but all in baby steps. In effect, that's what has happened today. But you have crossed into a new threshold of understanding. You have crossed into a new aspect. You have taken those baby steps. You have been spoon fed, excuse me, to the point that you are nourished enough to take the next step, to take the next bottle of medicine, if you want to say, use it that way, to the next step in evolution, to understand that God is really both masculine and feminine. The divine feminine and the divine masculine merged is what God was and is, although that's not what was taught. The strongholds of Christianity, which have strangled your minds for years and centuries and eons of time, is dissolving, and new understandings will take place. And as was explained, as the average person, as the average quotient, the average number of understanding a person's consciousness and vibration, as that changes and rises, it will change everyone's world. But you must understand, not everyone is experiencing this. Those whose minds are closed, those whose minds are still anchored into the old beliefs, the old antiquated beliefs, they are anchored into where things are. And yet the vibration of the earth and the vibration of many people's minds is elevating. So that is causing a tug of war. It's causing the people who do not want any change, who want to continue in their old belief style, to become more and more uncomfortable. And therefore, they will speak out more and more and act out more and more. And this is to be expected because they are not flexible enough. They are too rigid in their thinking. They will not analyze their thoughts. They will not analyze their belief systems. They are cemented into what they were taught as a child. And the times are changing, and the vibration of the earth is changing, and the vibration of people's minds are changing and are elevating, and it's going to cause a problem until the pull is so strong that they will be forced into the new way of thinking. And at that point, they will not be able to hold on to their own old beliefs because everything will have changed. And that was really part of the message of what was said today. And it is with such joy that we are watching you learn and we are watching you absorb. And truthfully, we are watching you struggle a bit too, because this information is not easy to understand. It's because it is so contrary to what your teachings in the past have been. All of you who are here have been on a journey of discarding your past belief systems. And you are all in different aspects of that journey, different points on that path. And we applaud you for that. But this teaching is pulling you ahead much further. It's asking you to take 100 more steps into change. And for some of you, that's hard to do because you are used to working on a certain pace of walking towards the new goals. And this is pulling you faster. And part of that is the new change of vibration, which is speeding things up and making things go a little faster. So we ask you to be tolerant with yourself, because this is all a natural process that you are experiencing and trying to master and absorb this new teaching. But for us, we are in jubilation that you have put the old book down and you are beginning on the first pages of the new book and the new understandings, and those understandings will totally change your whole consciousness. It'll be something that has, as was said, has not been experienced before. So with that, we are so happy of witnessing and watching you go through this and learning this. And we are very, very excited about this journey that in both dimensions are on, your dimension and ours. So with that, we will entertain your questions.
Thank you, Carl and friends. We're so happy that you're here with us. The first question is from Susan Yu. Regarding the arraignment of former President Trump, are the white hats the good guys behind this ultimately? And do they have his back? Ramtha said he is the wind beneath his wings. Is this all part of the plan to take down the deep state? Is former President Trump General Patton reincarnated? Thank you so much.
As you have stated, this is part of, quote, the white hat strategy. They are excited that your president was arraigned, that he has to appear before court, because this never happened before. And it is a way to expose how much corruption there is in the government. You will come to find out that the case that they have against Mr. Trump is so weak and so bogus that it will not last long. They will not be able to bring him and destroy him like they think that they can. But the fact that they are doing this will expose their evil plot. It will expose what they have been up to. And yes, this is part of the white hat's agenda. If you think of it, and I don't mean to disrespect anyone on this comparison, if you take the man Jesus, he came to the world to teach things, and yet the evil side or the negative side destroyed him, but his truth lived on. His truths were distorted by the negative side, but the kernels of his teachings remained, and remained for thousands of years. In a way, Mr. Trump is also, I'll use the word sacrificing himself, because He could have retired. He could have just done his own thing. He didn't have to step into the role of the presidency and achieve all this attention. But he will be the one to bring, because of what this action has happened. This will bring to light the corruption and the deep state and the negativity of the deep state to many people's eyes, even though there are many people who are rooting for his destruction at this time. Do you understand?
Okay, and is is President Trump actually General Patton reincarnated? That was part of the question.
We can say that part of the fractals of that general is absorbed into the consciousness of Mr. Trump, just as we were trying to teach that a soul that's inhabiting a body is like a diamond, and it has fractals from many different souls. It's not just a single, and it is a single entity, but it is comprised of many different pieces or fractals coming from many different sources. Or if you want to term it another way, from many different soul pieces of soul from other people's past, other people's lives. Do you understand? It is so a soul could have Mr. Trump's soul could have Patton in it. He could have Abraham Lincoln in it. He could have Joan of Arc in it. He could have Abraham in it. He could have lots of different people within his soul. And all those aspects bring their own pasts with them and their own experiences and can influence the consciousness of that physical individual because it is a composite of all the different souls. Do you understand?
Thank you. Next question is from Carol C. I recently listened to a quote expert on the quantum financial system, the revaluation. It is said that when we get our appointments to exchange our currency and receive what is due us from our birth certificate bond, that there are several steps to go through. One of them is that our hearts would be, quote, scanned to determine if we have a good heart. That doesn't feel right. Who sets up that program and who determines what constitutes a good heart? What happens to people who are judged to not have a good heart? So much about this quantum financial system sounds like just another method of control. Every dollar is trackable to every hand it touches. What are your thoughts on this? I was expecting more freedom, not more oversight and control. Thank you.
The new financial system is really part of the system that was long planned in order to control people. They, in their attempt to disguise what they are doing, they have slapped the word quantum on it because they make it feel, they want to disguise it so they make certain people feel that this is in a more enlightened way of experiencing it. But in fact, as you have stated, it is going to be very trackable. It's going to be somewhere where they can keep track of everything. It will come a time where the whole monetary system will totally dissipate and people will go into a bartering system the way things were many, many, many centuries ago before currency was invented. You have to understand the way things are happening. When we talked about the fact that the things are going to get to a point where this combustion is going to take place, that is going to be a point where there will be no more governments, there will be no more currencies, there will be a lot of things will be, there'll be no more religions, there will be a lot of different changes. So many things and many aspects of your society are in the state of dissolving, but it is not not something that is going to be necessarily like putting a spoonful of sugar in a cup of boiling water and it just kind of dissipates and goes real quickly. It's going to be a much, much, much slower process, and there are going to be a lot of bumps in the way. And one of the bumps in the way is the establishing of a new currency system. But it will be, many people will not be happy with it because they will know exactly everything about you at that point. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Um, the next question is from Luvera. Uh, there's been much activity in the universe lately, to include the detection of a mothership. Does this have anything to do with the lessons we've learned today referencing the coming of the new beginning? Thank you.
There is a relationship between the people that are, we'll call them off-worlders, who live in other planets and other planetary systems. They have not been anchored in the belief systems that are that occurred on the Earth plane. So therefore, they are centuries and centuries ahead of you, technologically and spiritually, even as well. So they are very much aware of what's happening on Earth. They are very much aware that changes are in the process of happening, that you are in what is called the end times, where you are in the transition between the age of ignorance and the age of knowledge that is coming forth. They are very much watching what is happening and are there to assist the people of Earth if so needed. So it is not surprising that there's certain people on the Earth plane who watch the heavens and watch the what you call outer space are aware of certain ships and certain beings who are around the planet, who are very much aware of what's happening. You must realize again that these entities, these off-worlders, do not sit around and talk to anyone, because they use a state of telepathy. They tune in and use thought to communicate. Therefore, they can use that same technique to monitor the Earth plane. They watch the thoughts of people. They watch the thoughts of society, if you want to say it that way, the collective, and so they can keep an eye of what's going on without having to physically set foot on the Earth plane. So they are very much aware of what's happening because they are monitoring through thought the actions of what is happening, and they are there to assist those of you, such as those who are here today, who are attempting to advance their consciousness in enlightenment. So they're there to help and assist. It was talked about today by the person who is speaking that he received certain communication and incorporated it into the presentation today. Part of that thought, some people think is coming from the world of spirit. Other people might say, well, it's coming from the off-worlders. They are understanding what is being attempted to be put forth, and they are assisting in their way through the skills of telepathy to influence his mind, and therefore have thoughts being presented being brought down to you. This is definitely part of what what is going on. And so, therefore, yes, they are watching and they are assisting those who are open to their frequencies and can receive their thought patterns to transmute them or to bring them into a frequency that humans can understand. Did I make myself clear?
Thank you. Next question is from Susan Yu. While incarnated, can we dissolve the veil of forgetfulness with our intention to be free? Thank you.
You are God's having a physical experience. If that is your intent and that is your focus, and you bring that energy into that thought, you can manifest that as much as can be done while in a physical body. Part of what spiritual amnesia is the forgetting that you are a divine beings and all the information that you would have outside of the body. In other words, when your spirit leaves the physical body and re-enters the spirit world, it is said that you are not going to have all the knowledge of the universe. Well, that is true, but you will have the remembrances of your past lives and what you've experienced before. Your informational base or memory, I should say, will be expanded because when your soul entered the physical body, it carried with it all those memories. But eventually, those memories fade as a baby becomes more mature, and they forget them. For example, when a baby first arrives in the spirit world, this when it's when it's first born, when it comes into the physical world, it cannot speak, but yet it remembers how to use telepathy, how to communicate, and it communicates very well with the spirit people who are kind of watching over that baby. So the baby is in communication with that, and as it tries to use telepathy with its mother and its father, it becomes frustrated because the mother and father aren't working on a telepathic level; they are using speech. So eventually, the child learns that they have to learn how to speak in order to communicate with their parents. And as they focus on becoming uh, capable of speech, they forget their telepathic abilities, and therefore it kind of fades away. It's similar. Okay, so you cannot possibly have all memories, but if you uh, work on trying to become out of the spiritual amnesia, but you will, in the process, improve what you already have. And as you work as becoming using your powers to manifest and realize that you are divine, more of a divine being having a physical life, that spiritual amnesia fades somewhat, but it will not totally go away until your soul vacates the physical body. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Carol C. I've heard that the white hats have eliminated the topmost layer of the dark side, those ETs who have controlled this whole prison planet. If this is true, is there still a reason for what Ramtha calls the 12 days of light, the great battle in the skies? Who is there left to fight with at that level? Um, if so, will this happen soon? Thank you.
The 12 days of light that you are referring to will be happening. Whether there needs to be a battle or not is not of importance. But what is important is that the 12 days of light is going to be the threshold, the signal that you are changing from the age of ignorance into the change of knowledge. You are walking across that threshold, and that threshold is the days of light. Um, the whether or not there will need to be, if already the evil has been conquered, is not really the question. It is the mental state, the awareness of the physical people that the change is upon them, that things, the grand days, the grand change is here, or about to be here, and that's what the 12 days of light will represent at in the future. Again, it is impossible to say when soon is. It is impossible because there are so many variables in the time flow of when anything can possibly happen. So it is impossible for us to pinpoint what what the when is, but it will. We can see that it is happening, and you are closer to it than you used to be. We can tell you that. You understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Anne. Since we are supposed to be growing our consciousness, should we even be directing our energies to what is going on with Donald Trump and what is going on within our society? Thank you.
We say to you that living in ignorance is not an answer. We say to you, yes, you should be aware of what is going on. But what do we mean by aware? The aware is that you know, have a good idea what's going on, but you don't become consumed with it. You don't let it take over every single aspect of your day. You do not let it take over your main thoughts of consciousness. So, yes, you give it a glance because you need to know what's happening, but you bring your consciousness into living a spiritual life and then grow and going and being part of evolution and being and being living as an example of a spiritual person. But to be total to say you shouldn't listen to it at all is also not good. There needs to be balance. You need to have some awareness of what's happening on your planet, but not to be consumed. There are some people who watch their televisions every day, and so when their news programs every single day, and they are totally consumed by watching it. And as you know, you can watch the news 24 hours a day. There are some people that do that, but we suggest that's not the way to be. Yes, know what's going on, but have your main focus elsewhere.
Thank you. Um, the next question is from Laura. Last month it was mentioned there is darkness in the governments around the world. How much is Russia's President Putin in the darkness and Ukraine's Zelensky? Is anyone part of the White Hats? Thank you.
Unfortunately, all governments are concerned with control, with keeping control of the people, with keeping their control of the people. And therefore, we cannot say that any particular government would have enlightenment in it, because that's not their main concern. Their main concern is control. So all governments are that way. Now, Are some governments have more light in them than others? Yes, that is true. But they all have the element of control within them, and therefore they all will be dissolved eventually as you walk into the age of enlightenment. Do you understand?
Thank you. And the last question is from Luvera. If we choose to reincarnate, will family members be able to reunite? Will we look the same? Thank you.
We need to understand the question better.
Luvera, do you want to unmute and ask your question more clearly?
Just wondering, the family that we have now, when we reincarnate, will we be joined together, the same family members? That, and will we look the same? I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank you, Luvera.
Thank you for the
Thank
clarification.
you. Mhm.
To answer your question, yes, often groups of souls reincarnate together. And by groups, we would mean the family that existed in one lifetime can, but not always, reincarnate together and have other experiences. Oftentimes, the roles may be reversed. So, in other words, the mother of life A might be the daughter of in life B to the daughter of life A, if you understand what I mean. So the roles that they live may change, but often the souls reincarnate as groups. As far as them looking the same, no, they would not, because the physical body is made up of heredity, as you know. So it depends on what they choose, and also the soul that enters the body has a lot of choices to make as far as bringing certain chromosomes together. For example, that if the soul wants blonde hair, it programs the fetus to have blonde hair, because that blonde would be within the genetic makeup of what is there, and they could choose if they want blonde or brunette or redhead or whatever. So the looking the same would definitely not be the same from lifetime to lifetime, but souls, the fractals, will incarnate and have experiences with similar people if they so choose. It doesn't have to be that way. Some souls want to have experiences with totally different people in the next life. So therefore, they choose that. You must understand that when you are in the spirit world, before you are going to inhabit a physical body and come back into the physical world, there are choices to be made, and you choose what you want to learn in that particular life, and you choose the people that would facilitate that lesson, and will cross your path to provide the resistance and the experiences and the events to spark that learning that you wanting to have. Well, many times you come back in order to see if you'll make the right choice this time. This is all part of what is worked out before the soul enters into the physical body. So to answer your question succinctly, yes, sometimes groups come back together because there are issues that need to be worked out between those particular souls, and so they come back to see if they will pass the test this time. But other times it's different people. but it doesn't matter what the physical body would look like in these people. It is the soul that's carrying the memories and the experiences, and it's the soul that is seeking to evolve. Do you understand?
Thank you. That's the last question. And thank you very much, Carl and friends. We love you. We appreciate your being here with us. Thank you.
We are so happy that we are here to provide answers to your questions. We are so happy that you are on this journey. And we are very, we don't have the words to express our excitement about how you have turned the corner and have started as what we called on the first chapter of the new book. So with that being said, we encourage you to continue your journeys, but remember, you need to have patience with yourself. You do not feel that this is all above me. I can't understand this. This is too hard to absorb. That is part of what it needs to happen, because you need this. The absorption will happen in its normal rate. Think of it this way. You are about to experience what you term the spring season. You are about to watch flowers burst from the earth and bloom. You can't stand over that flower and say, I want you to open right now, bloom. You cannot do that. The flower has its own consciousness and its own speed in order to grow and to develop and to open its blossom. You cannot control that. It is a natural flow. You have to find your natural flow in understanding this material. So what we encourage you to focus on, as was said today, is to focus on the energy and not to be concerned that you understand each and every little detail of all this stuff. It will come just like the flower blossoms. Your understanding will eventually bloom. Do not be impatient. Do not put yourself down because you don't think you can understand it. It will happen in its own pace, just like the flower opens on its own pace. Do not be concerned. Be in joy. Be and rejoice in the fact that you know that the flower is going to bloom. You know that there's new information to absorb, a new way to understand, that you are getting closer to understanding the divine principles. You are coming closer to understanding the divine feminine and divine masculine that is merged together. These are things that will come to you in the natural, in your own very own natural flow. So just allow yourself to be with the information, to listen to the information, and eventually you'll see that you will understand it a lot easier and a lot better. With that, we were going to leave you with our blessings. Be patient with yourself. Enjoy your holiday seasons that are coming, and enjoy the warmth of spring and the warmth of rebirth and regrowth, because that, my friends, is what you are doing right now. The seeds were planted today. They are going to germinate and grow just as your flowers are about to grow. And you are going to come into a whole new season of understanding as this all unfolds in your own pace, in your own time. Our blessings with you, my friends. So be it.